Hello, welcome back, or if this is your first time here, my name is Siobhan and I'm happy to have you. Gonna put a disclaimer right here at the very beginning of the video, PMSing a little bit. There might be some completely unnecessary and random complaining in this video. I don't even know what I'm doing in this video. I have no real plan. I thought that I had a plan and then that just didn't work out, and I just want to do makeup. I'm stuck inside like everybody else and I just want to do my makeup and I want to feel like I'm being social. So here I am doing my makeup on camera with the hopes that you're going to leave comments down below and I'm going to get to interact with you. So I am opening my brow product like I'm going to do my brows first. I'm not going to do my brows first because if I do my brows first, I don't know how people can do their brows. Like I do it, but when I do my brows first and then I do my foundation, I have such a hard time not getting foundation in my brows. And it's just a really impressive skill that I am not patient enough for right now at this moment. So, yeah. Let's move on. I haven't used my Modern Renaissance palette in quite a while. It's the ABH Modern Renaissance. I just want to do something kind of natural-ish. This was a very unique palette when it came out. It was a big deal. It's been out for years now. So for primer, I have another sachet of this Hourglass mineral veil, and I am going to just put it on one side, like on half of my face. I just want to try a foundation that I know oxidizes on my face with this on half of it, because I think that the last time I used this, it kept my foundation from oxidizing. And if that is the case, I need more of it because I have a huge problem with foundations oxidizing on my skin. And it's frustrating and annoying. I've been thinking in these videos, maybe I'll just tell random stories about my life, because I've had sort of an interesting life. Probably more than sort of. I've had a pretty interesting life. Some of it maybe not necessarily the best kind of interesting. Yeah, I didn't really have a story planned. I'm just going to tell the first childhood story that came to mind because it's kind of a weird one. So when I was 3. I'd have been 3 or 4. I've done this duplex with my mom and her boyfriend. Obviously, I didn't live by myself. I was 3 or 4. But we lived in this duplex, and there was like a hallway at the back that had bedrooms at each side. And I could come out from the hallway, like from the back of the hallway. The back of the couch faced the hallway. So if the TV was on, I could go to the hallway, like the hallway in the middle behind the couch a little bit and still see the TV. And I loved the show that probably most of you have never heard of because it's a very old show, but it was called WKRP in Cincinnati. And it used to come on at like 11 or 11:30 at night, like way too late for a little kid to be up. And so if I was awake, I would like sneak out into the hallway and watch the TV. Now, in the other half of this duplex was the man who owned the duplex, who was our landlord, and who my mom had been friends with for many years. And he was also an alcoholic. So I remember like when we would go over to his side, he would always have like just tons of beer cans all over the place. And he used to drink Pabst Blue Ribbon. And it was way before Pabst Blue Ribbon was like a hipster beer. So it wasn't cool. It was just that he was an alcoholic and it was cheap. And so there was this one night that I was like sneaking out, and WKRP in Cincinnati had just come on. And this man came into our house and he pointed a gun at my mom. And then he pointed a gun at her boyfriend. And then he shot the TV twice. I don't know why. I was a little kid, so I don't really know what else was going on. Like, I know that other crazy things happened while we lived there. And my mom, I've talked about my mom a little bit, but my mom was amazing in many ways, but she also was at that point a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. And that's just something that was, you know, a part of my life growing up. And unfortunately, that means that there are other people in your life that probably shouldn't be around children when you have that with your parents. This foundation is very pretty. And now we're going to see whether or not it oxidizes. So yeah, so this man came in, he shot the TV, and it's important to remember any of the stories that I tell about my childhood are coming from the memory of a child. So there are things that may not be entirely accurate. That's just the way it is when you're remembering something that happened to you when you were a kid. Also, time frames, like timelines for me timelines are very strange. Like there's just, like I feel like so much happened when I was 9 years old that I know did not all happen when I was 9 years old. But I think that because that's around the time that your personality really like fuses and forms, that's just the point in time that I remember it happening. Like that's just the age I remember. I'm gonna do my eyebrows next. I'm just using the Iconic London. If you're following along, feel free to use whatever brow products you like. When the police came the night of the shooting, I was a little kid. I don't really know what happened. I know that for some reason, in addition to the landlord, they also took my mom and her boyfriend to jail. I don't know. We lived in Utah. It was a weird time. It is what it is. I don't know what happened. I know that like my mom didn't end up in prison or anything. Like it wasn't a situation where she went to jail for a long time. But her friend Carrie came and got me. And I don't, like after this incident, I don't remember ever seeing Carrie again. I don't know how I even remember her name. But she came and got me. And I had fallen asleep sort of like halfway in the car. And I still am like this if I'm in the car and I'm almost asleep, like in that I'm aware that there's stuff going on, but I don't want to like wake up if I don't have to. I will just pretend to stay asleep if we stop somewhere. As a kid, I used to do it because I didn't want to have to wake up and walk inside of wherever we were. And normally my mom or her boyfriend would carry me into the house in situations like that, or into wherever we were. And Carrie did not carry me in. She left me in the car. At this point, it was probably like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was dark. I know that WKRP in Cincinnati was on when the whole thing started, which means that that happened between 11 and midnight sometime. There had been time for the cops to come, people to get arrested, Carrie to be called, come and get me, take me to wherever we were. So I'm guessing it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And so I remember what it looked like where we were at. And there were just like probably 3 or 4 sort of like fourplexes. It wasn't like an apartment complex. It was just, I don't know, not what looked like a great neighborhood. So I got out of the car and sort of stood next to the car and was trying to figure out which house she had gone into. I do also know that somehow I knew that she was there to get drugs. Like there was something in my child brain that had been exposed to enough of that kind of stuff already that I knew that it was somewhere that I shouldn't be, and I was scared. So I got back in the car and I locked the door and I just crouched down, like between the seat and the dashboard, and just tried to stay there. I don't know how long it was before she came back. It was what seemed like hours and hours before I fell asleep, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up in the car, she was driving and the sun had come out. So who knows if she was like inside somewhere doing drugs with people for a long time or what was going on. But yeah, good times. And we went back to my house, like our house where my mom lived. And we might not have. So this is the part where my memory is like there's a break in my memory. I don't know if we went back there or if there was like a day or two chunk of time and then we went back there. But at some point we went back there because my mom, that was where my mom came to when she got out of jail. And again, I don't know what she went to jail for, so I don't know if if they just held her overnight and then it was the next day, or if they held her for a couple of days. I don't know if it was the weekend, so they would have held her over the weekend before they would have released her. Like, I don't know any of that stuff, and unfortunately for my stories, my mom is dead, so I can't ask her questions. I could probably go online and try to figure some of this stuff out, but it's not that imperative to the story, and it's not that important to my life. But we had a thing in my house when it came to food, and the rule was you had to try everything once. If you didn't like it, you didn't have to eat it, but you had to try it every time. Like you always had to try whatever was there. And wow, those are some not same eyebrows, but that's okay. All right. So this is going to be a pretty simple eye look. I'm just going to start out going into warm taupe, which is this light brown color here with a big fluffy brush. This is the Rephr number 16. I'll say what things are for reference, but so she had made Cheerios, but they'd gotten soggy. Carrie, my mom's friend. And I didn't like soggy Cheerios. I liked my Cheerios to be crunchy. I also wasn't particularly hungry on this particular day. And so I took a bite of the Cheerios and I said that I didn't like it and I didn't want to eat it. And she took the spoon and was like forcing the spoon in my mouth, which I have seen way too many parents do. I am very much a fan of the way that my mom dealt with food and always having to try stuff, but never forcing any kind of eating, because I've seen a lot of people end up with eating disorders and just not have good relationships with food. And while I am an emotional eater, that doesn't have anything to do with the way that my mom fed us. So my mom walked in and she was like forcing the spoon into my mouth, and my mom lost her shit. She was an incredibly protective mama bear. Like, my mom didn't let anybody get away with anything when it came to her children. Like, she was very, very protective. And so this is the Rephr number 13. I'm just going to go into Cypress Umber, which is just a darker brown, and deepen up the outer corner in the crease. So she like went off on Carrie, and I know that she kicked her out of our house. And again, I don't remember ever seeing Carrie again after that. It's the last time I ever remember seeing her. And I might not have even really, as an adult, thought about the fact that we were never required to eat food or how significant that was had it not been for that specific incident. I know that it seemed like this story was going to be about some guy shooting the TV, but really it wasn't. It was a story that just led to how I didn't like soggy Cheerios as a kid. Yeah, that's the last thing, like that's the last part of that incident that I really remember. So it's a weird place to end the story, but I still think it's just, like, it's a story that's just interesting, and I think says a lot about my childhood, all in sort of one incident. The man who came in and shot the TV, I heard many years later, ended up dying of liver disease from alcoholism. So there's that, in case you were wondering how he did. He did not fare well. If you have an alcohol problem, this is the brush that came with this palette. I don't love it. But if you have an alcohol problem, please seek out treatment. I know that it's hard. I have known so many alcoholics in my life who, that was a bad idea. And I've known so many people who just were in denial of their alcoholism and don't realize how much they are hurting people around them. And it's unfortunate. I did not mean for this to necessarily go to this place. I did leave a disclaimer at the beginning of this video that it might be a heavy video. So really, I just said that I might be bitchy, and this is more heavy than bitchy, but whatever. I'm just going back into Warm Taupe, the first light brown color that I used. I'm going to use Primavera, which is just like a champagne shimmer shade. So this video went to a place I wasn't expecting it to go. So we're going to try to turn it around a little bit if there's anybody still watching. It's hard. Like, it's always really difficult to go from like a really heavy topic to something that is not heavy. But I'll just tell another story about my childhood, because there are also things that were fun, although still maybe not normal. One of my personal favorite things about my childhood, this is Urban Decay Naked Skin. I'm just going to put a little bit underneath my eyes to cover up some yellow. It's in lavender. So any lavender color corrector will work. But one of my absolute favorite things as a kid growing up was my mom used to wake me up. My mom had like severe insomnia. So she would wake me up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, or 5 or 6, whatever. But she would wake me up what was basically like middle of the night, early morning, to watch cartoons. And not just any cartoons, but the Flintstones and the Jetsons, which again, not really around anymore. If you've never seen the Flintstones and the Jetsons, best cartoons. I haven't seen them as an adult. Maybe I should watch them as an adult before I say that. This is just Bad Gal Bing. So black mascara. And she would go get my homework. She would call me off of school for the day. And she would go get my homework. And so we would like get up and watch cartoons or whatever. And then we would go out for breakfast, usually at some like diner, or even better, she would make me breakfast. My mom would make the best breakfast. So we would have breakfast and we would just like hang out and have a mother-daughter day. I would have to do my homework before school was done, and then we would usually, around the time school got out, go and get taco time, which we don't have where I live now, because it's like a West Coast Mexican drive-through restaurant. Not drive-through. It's a West Coast like Mexican fast food restaurant. And I still like taco time still makes me so nostalgic. We never really went to like McDonald's. I remember having a Happy Meal as a kid, maybe one time ever, because it just wasn't a thing. Just gonna use like rosy blush and bronzer. I used to love those days so much. And because I still had to do like my homework and stuff, I don't feel like it was detrimental to me in any way. And my mom just really, like, her reason for doing that was just that she really hated school. She also grew up really poor and got made fun of a lot, was told that she was stupid when she was at home. So she hated school, and so she hated that she had to send me to school. And she wanted, like, she understood the value of having an education. She just hated that I had to go to school to get it. And I also, like, we were pretty poor, and I was incredibly introverted, very, very quiet kid. And so I had a pretty difficult time making friends at school, or like, I didn't know how to interact with other children very well. So not having to go to school was amazing for me. I'm gonna use Too Faced Cinnamon Bear. It's just a nice red lip. My lips aren't even, and I struggle a ton to try to make them even, and I'm just not up for the struggle right now. So I'm gonna leave in my mistake because, you know, I think that it's good to be able to see that other people make mistakes. Anyway, so sort of in conclusion, as far as like my childhood stuff, my mom was the best mom for me. I think that there are things that she could have done differently. There are lots of ways she could have been a better parent, but those aren't inherent skills. She didn't have good parents to teach her how to be a parent. She had my oldest brother when she was 18, 19. She got pregnant when she was 18. She had him when she was 19. So, and she was already on her own. Like, she didn't know what she was doing. And it just, I think that it's, the takeaway from this that I would want people to have is know that parents usually are trying to do their best. When you see parents doing good things, when you're in the grocery store and you see some parent that is having just like a rough time with their kid, but they're handling it in a really positive way, it's okay to say to them, "You're doing a really good job right now," as you pass by. That might be weird. I'm probably weird. I know that I'm weird. People probably think that I am way weirder than I even am. Anyway, I just wanted to hang out for a little bit. I hope that you are doing well wherever you are with everything that is going on, all of this craziness. If you want to hear more stories, let me know down in the comments. Feel free to comment about anything. I am not somebody who is easily offended. On that note, I will say that recently, all of a sudden, like, there was one day where I got 3 comments from 3 different people about me being fat and how makeup's not going to cover up my double chin. Dude, no shit. I know that I am fat. If that's the best you've got, this is probably not the channel for you to try to troll on, because I don't care about those comments. Yeah. I'm going to make a different video addressing some of that, just a short video right now. So that video is probably already up, and I'll be sure to link it. I don't ever know, I should know by now which side. Like, I know which side. I know that I'm pretty sure it's this side, but the video's reversed. I don't know. I think that this is where the card will be to that video, since that video will go up before this video. All right, I'm done talking. I've told you way too much personal information, and I'm sure that there will be more in the future. If you'd like to hear those stories, make sure that you subscribe. If you don't want to hear those stories, probably not the channel for you, but I appreciate you being here. And there's a lot of makeup videos that don't have those stories, so you could always just skip them. Okay, I think my coffee just kicked in. I'm gonna go make another video. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Bye!